Hey, what is up guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and today we're going to be doing a $450 Mini ITX Ryzen 3rd Gen entry-level gaming PC.
Let's get right into it, shall we? But first, a word from today's sponsor.
This video is brought to you by Pulseway.
Whether you're an IT professional or just somebody who has a lot of systems that they need to monitor, Pulseway is an awesome way to monitor system specs, temperatures, readouts, and everything that you may need to know about a system, and it's accessible via a mobile app and even from a web browser.
We actually set it up on all of our systems at the office so that we can monitor on the go to make sure that none of our systems are blowing up.
So if you're interested in checking out Pulseway, please use the link in the description down below. There's a free version you can try out, and use the link down below because it helps us out. So let's get right into this video, shall we?
So what we have here is this new Ryzen 3400G. So this is the top of the line Ryzen APU that you can get right now. It is a little bit better than the 3200G, but how much better we don't really know yet. We don't have like super high hopes, but hey, maybe it'll make a decent difference FPS wise in games.
And one thing to note, this system is $450. For a system that only comes with APU graphics, that's a little bit expensive, but keep in mind the Mini ITX form factor is expensive. This motherboard alone, which we'll talk about more when we dive into the full specs, is $100. So if you can get these things on discount, you could probably make this even cheaper, but this motherboard is a limiting factor, and just building sub Mini ITX, the smaller you get, honestly, the more expensive it gets.
So what we have here is the ASRock B450 Mini ITX. So this is a gaming ITX / AC. And as you see here, it does say AMD Ryzen 2000 ready, and this is a 3rd gen processor, but because the fact that this is basically just a Ryzen 2400G rebranded, this should be fine on this board, but we will confirm that with you guys.
Now for the RAM, we have two 8GB sticks of G.Skill Flare X memory at 3200 MHz with a CAS latency of 16. Now when it comes to Ryzen, you know getting that fast memory and low latency memory is a really good option, and 16 gigs is so cheap right now. This kit was around $70 at the time of filming this video, and honestly it's a no-brainer to go with 16 gigs of RAM in a system like this, especially when we're trying to go for a better system overall for upgradability. Now to power this system, we didn't spend a ton of money on a really fancy power supply or anything. We went with this Thermaltake Smart Series power supply. It's a 500 watt unit, more than enough power to complement this system right here, and also future upgrades that we may add, which stay tuned to the end of the video because we'll be benchmarking this thing with an upgraded graphics card. And also as a boot drive, we have this Force Series MP510, which is an M.2 SSD from Corsair. It is 240 gigabytes and is going to slot in nicely into our motherboard to allow us to, well, have some fast storage to load Windows onto. And then there's also some room in this case to add maybe another drive in the future if you want to have more storage. Now for the case, we have to give a big thanks to Cooler Master. This is their Master Case H100, which is a Mini ITX case that is based around their high airflow series. Now this case is actually designed for APU systems, more specifically Mini ITX systems, but this thing is Mini ITX, comes with one big fan on the front, and it's gonna be really cool to build in this thing because, well, it's not actually out on the market yet, and we're gonna give you all a first look at what this case can offer at a pretty decent price. So how about we go ahead and build this Mini ITX system. Alright guys, so the first game we are going to be testing is Fortnite, and keep in mind we are having to record this using our camera because the built-in iGPU on these APUs does not support AMD's Relive recorder, and we don't normally use a capture card setup. In the future we probably will have a capture card setup, but just keep that in mind for this recording. So we will be getting not the best capture output, but just keep that in mind. Another thing to note is I've always experienced this bug right here where the GPU usage on MSI Afterburner and Riva Tuner is always just broken with these APUs. But as far as settings go, we're going to be running this on Pro settings, which Pro settings are epic view distance and everything else on low with motion blur turned off, running at 1080p full screen, and we're going to see what kind of numbers we can get playing Fortnite in a solo match. Alright, so here we are in Fortnite, again on Pro settings. We're going to go ahead and drop into somewhat of a decent place. Actually, we'll drop Tilted. The new Tilted is out right now, so we'll see how crazy it gets in here. Don't expect me to survive very long. But dropping in right now, we can tell that we are getting decent performance, around 50-ish FPS, which normally in a drop, you don't need to worry about the frame rate all that much. But as we start to land, and a lot of people are loading into Tilted, which is, keep in mind, this is a worst case scenario, we're getting about 48 to 52-ish FPS. The Ryzen 5 3400G is actually clocked at 4 gigahertz, which is a boost over its normal clock speed, so that is really cool to see. Landing into the new Tilted, let's see if we can get a gun real quick. And it looks like we got one. See if we can kill somebody. Wait, no, did I not? I didn't pick up that gun. What the hell? All right, so we kill somebody, and frame rate's around the 70s to 80s. But yeah, running around constant 60 to 70-ish FPS in a really crowded area. So keep that in mind. It's actually pretty impressive what we're getting right now. This man running at me with a shield. Oh God, okay. Well, I guess I died there, but frame rates are actually pretty impressive. I'm gonna do another drop real quick to give you some better numbers in another location too. But overall numbers were looking pretty solid, over 60 FPS the entire time. In the new Tilted, again, it's a new drop and it's actually right when the new season came out, so it's gonna be a very hot location. So we're gonna go ahead and try a different drop. Alright guys, so I actually dropped into another location. This is Fatal Fields, and we're just kind of getting an idea of what an empty map performance is like, just running around. I actually managed to get a kill, but didn't get it on camera, sad face. But the performance is actually, well, pretty solid. Keep in mind, you do have to temper your expectations just a little bit because this is not going to run at a constant 60 FPS with Pro settings. If we do go into the settings real quick though, and drop it down to, let's say, close to 720p-ish in terms of 3D render resolution, we might actually get a over 60 FPS experience all the time. It looks like we're around the 70s, constant. The quality does take a big hit though, running it at like this 3D resolution. So normally I wouldn't recommend dropping it this low, but if you are okay with the way it looks and it doesn't really give you that bad of a competitive disadvantage, lowering the settings like this could be pretty decent. Oh, he's pushing me with the shotgun. Okay, I really had no shot in that build battle, but overall, decent performance, and he's gonna dance on me. How embarrassing. All right guys, so the next game we're gonna be testing is CSGO. We are running on Pro settings, which is basically full screen, 1080p, running on all low everything with all the other crap disabled. We're gonna see exactly how high the frame rate can get on Dust 2 in a deathmatch game. All right guys, running on Pro settings at 1080p in a deathmatch lobby, and I just got sniped, so we gotta pull out that op and show people how you really op in this game. If I can actually kill somebody, there we go. We are getting a wide range of frame rates right now, but just sitting around in like basically low-end situations like under the tunnel and stuff, we're getting over 100 FPS. But if we run out and actually fight, we can get anywhere between, oh God, we can get anywhere between 60 to about 100 FPS. So in this situation, if I was running just a 60 hertz monitor, I would probably suggest that you go ahead and just lock the frame rate at 60, and you would have like no problem keeping it there for like the duration of your gameplay, which for a budget system, this is actually decent. So again, CSGO on Pro settings, I cannot complain with the results. We are getting 100 FPS all over the place, but I would recommend locking at 60, especially if you plan on playing on a 60 hertz monitor, which with a budget system like this, you're most likely gonna go with. So let's go ahead and switch to another game real quick. All right, so the last game I'm actually going to be testing before we do some built-in benchmarks is PUBG, and we're going to be running on all low settings, full screen at 1080p. Starting to feel like I'm probably going to have to drop it down to 720p because even on the menu we're getting 24 FPS, but we'll see once we drop into a random solo game, which I'm going to queue up right now, and we'll go from there. So I kind of made an executive decision after just running around the menu right now at like 30-ish FPS to drop the settings definitely down to 720p because it's really pushing the GPU right now, and I want to try to give this thing the best possible chance to succeed. And as you can tell on low settings, 720p, running around right now, we're about 70-ish FPS. So once we actually drop into the match in a minute here, we'll see exactly what kind of performance we got going. All right, guys, so from the plane right now, we're getting about 100 to like 70-ish FPS. Really, it's all over the place. Again, the plane really isn't that big of a deciding factor with overall performance, but I like to narrate as I'm doing the benchmark runs. We're gonna drop right here and see exactly how it works. Running on all those settings, it's really hard to tell exactly where to drop. And also, I haven't played PUBG in a really long time, so bear with me. But we're just gonna go ahead and drop straight down and see if we can get some people to fight. So landing in right now, we're at about 30-ish FPS, and we got a big stutter right there. Oh lordy, that was a big stutter. And at some point, you gotta kind of think here, if I'm going to be building a system like this, what games am I going to be playing? And is this going to be a worthwhile situation for me based on the performance numbers? Things have kind of settled in a little bit, but overall we're in a building right now, so I would take these numbers with a grain of salt. We're going to look outside and see if we can find somebody. Dropping down, we're probably at, well, now it's actually starting to settle down a little bit, 70 to 60 FPS. It seems to be the initial load was coming from the loading in of the textures, but here at the map right now, it's actually running pretty smooth. I can't complain about the performance right now. Let's see if I can get this scope on here. Oh, this is a 6X. This is going to be horrible. Let's take that off. On one hand, you can avoid this whole Mini ITX form factor and APU and go with something like a Ryzen 5 1600 with a budget graphics card, and you can consider that a good upgradable system, which it most certainly is. But then you also got to factor in exactly what kind of performance you're getting out of a Mini ITX system. And if you want to upgrade this thing with a graphics card, you can. We'll talk more about the case later. But you know, price performance is something that you're going to have to like value yourself, because at the end of the day, what is this use case for? Is this going to be a mobile video editing station, which it could be good for that? Is this going to be a mobile gaming station? And if it is, what games are you going to be playing? See if a shotgun can do it. Oh no, there's another guy shooting. Oh no, I got stuck in the crossfire. Dang it, I thought I had it. But overall, guys, I wouldn't say PUBG is necessarily playable because there is a lot of stutters, but if you really wanted to play some PUBG, you could at 720p. So now what we're gonna do is run two built-in benchmark tools, the one from Rainbow Six Siege and the one for Far Cry 5, and kind of give you a little bit of a wrap up as to what kind of performance we can get, and then we'll bring Jackson in and talk more about this system as a whole.
Okay, so we got the benchmarks back, and we're pretty impressed. You know, for an APU system, they have came a long way, and it's not too far from being able to actually be considered to be a full-on, like, capable gaming PC. Right now, though, it's borderline, and we do suggest, if you can throw in a little bit of extra money, getting something like a 1060. You might be able to fit an RX 580 in here, but really you should stick with single-fan cards. This does have a double-wide where you can fit a 2-lane card, but you really can't fit one with 2 fans. We already tried to put the 5700 in, and it was not even close to fitting.
And in terms of temperature performance, this thing performed pretty well. I ran this thing under an IDA64 test for about 20 minutes, and we were getting max temperatures around 70 degrees Celsius, which is not too bad for a CPU like this, and it was boosting all the way up to 4 gigahertz, which is beyond its normal clock speed. So overall, in terms of performance, the 3400G is a great processor. The ultimate question is it something that may make sense for you? Because you're spending a lot of money for the Mini ITX form factor, and you're losing some performance because of it, and ultimately that's up to you. Me personally, this would be a cool secondary system to take to things like LANs if you want to play some like games like CSGO, and that handle is really awesome. With that handle, you can just take this thing absolutely anywhere you want and don't have to worry about, well, you know, damaging your system unless you just drop it and throw it across.
If you drop it, it'll probably.
Maybe it's shock resistant.
Should we try it? Right.
Drop test. But overall, guys, we're actually pretty impressed with this system. And if you are interested in purchasing any of the hardware mentioned in this video, please check the links in the description down below.
So as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, pointing in random directions.
And we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
taking it with me.
Oh, where are you going?
Oh,
Shit.
Taking it with me.
All right, see you later, bro.
Pretending that I don't know who you are every time I